getting input, and then they had lots of discussions trying to create some output. And yesterday they met with management. I believe this morning they met with.
Next here.
I'm April Heredia. I'm in the EMI office as well as an architect associate.
And I'm a volunteer. I'm Steve Llewellyn. I'm a medical planner architect.
I'm a volunteer. I'm Mark Heredia. I'm married to April, and I've been providing administrative support for the team.
I'm Heather Taylor. I'm a medical planner and also do public health, and I'm a volunteer.
I'm Ann Pocock. I came with Jim, and I've had the privilege of working with Threads of Hope while I was here. Thanks to Holly.
Yeah, I'm John Yamoya. I'm Kenyan, and I'm a volunteer in the electrical engineering department.
I'm Chuck Volke. I'm an electrical engineer, and I'm a volunteer.
Rick Wilson, medical planner, volunteer.
I'm Dustin Johnson, civil engineering volunteer.
Morning, my name is Mike Gensman. I'm a civil engineering intern with EMI.
I'm Katie Elkins. I'm a speech pathologist and I'm volunteering. I'm also married to BJ.
And my name is BJ Elkins. I'm from EMI's US office in Colorado, and I'm a civil engineer.
Good morning. I'm Ricardo Makafula. I'm an interior architect intern from EMI South Africa.
Space. Steve alluded to the fact that we're basically surrounded by a moat on three sides in the form of a road, and then on the back by some housing next to eye and dental, and then our nursing college. So we're hemmed in on all sides. And so where do we find space to grow? And how do we get out of our mix that we do so that we don't run out of capacity for things like electricity and water and other minor things that are kind of somewhat impactful on the work that we do. And then we need to fix some functional adjacencies. For example, our MCH and our maternity are on opposite sides of the campus. Our oncology and our main entrance are on opposite sides of the campus. And so we have inpatients that are wandering here and there. We have very constricted spaces that need to expand that not only take some of the load off of waiting areas or functional areas, but it also improves wayfinding, because when you have less of a crowd of people, it's easier to see where you need to go.
As you can see here, this is part of your strategic plan. And we see that you are in the process of working on some of these different projects. And that's really fun to see, kind of, especially from June to now, being able to walk through some of those and just seeing the growth, seeing the progress. But as we worked on our on the programming, a few more of these kind of popped up to the surface of where we felt was really important that if continuing to following this, that those would be the next steps to move forward. And they are development of the surgical pediatric expansion, the development of the chaplaincy school, the canteen, and what Rick was just saying about the parking. So, Philippians 2:2. Make my joy complete by being of the same mind, maintaining the same love, united in spirit, intent on one purpose. Chuck?
Previously, they were mentioning there's some infrastructure improvements, so I'm going to start with some of the electrical stuff first. First, I just did want to point out there's a lot of positive things here already. There's some good infrastructure in place on the electrical side, and the hydro plant is one major positive thing here. And then there's also some of the existing equipment and capacities here are ready for some of the future growth, but as the growth continues, there's more improvements to make. So we kind of made a list of some of the recommendations that we think are.
So just to give you a picture of the loop that Chuck was talking about. The loop goes around the main campus area. So this is the main loop that we have surrounding the main campus area. And we have different sources of power, as Chuck said. We can be able to easily switch from one source to another. So from this side we have the 33 kV line coming from CTC. And on the southern side we have
for the hospital campus, somewhere around that range. We have 700 meters cubed of capacity from the water treatment plant. So we're in good shape right now. As we currently sit, we're able to supply our needs and have a little extra. What we're going to days worth of water storage to supply for your hospital. That way, if you have some interruptions, have a little bit of leeway to kind of get back on track in time. So right now we have 700 meter cubed of storage, and we look at increasing that to about 1,000. So in the future, our demand is going to be closer to 1,000 meters cubed, 975 for the full build out. The wastewater treatment plant is located at the bottom of the hill. If we are going to expand, our recommendation is actually to expand back to where the old wastewater treatment was. It's now in vacant field and it's available, it's close by the existing infrastructure.
Is getting some of our housing away from the main medical campus. We understand that there's a need to keep housing nearby for residents, for people who are frequently on call. We don't want to diminish that need in our minds, so we do recognize it, but there are some things that we just need a place to grow. As well as surgery expansion and support and sterile processing. And with that, we can go to the surgery building, and on the main level here, convert our theaters to pre-post-op to support the new surgeries, theaters that we have in the addition. And there would be pre-post as well in the addition so that we can maintain operations, pardon the pun, as we go forward with the project. We also then have the opportunity with MCH out of the H block to build a new clinics building, multi-story, that would take care of our OPD needs, as well as things like prosthetics, physical therapy. And then we need to address some wards expansion, and while that may not seem like an immediate need, maybe it does to some others, the idea is that we need to relocate some of the things from Sue Sturry building so that it can become an administrative center, including space for our chaplains and social workers. And with administration out of this part of the building, then we have an opportunity to do another two-part project. The front part would be new diagnostics with lab and pharmacy on the main level and imaging on the upper level. And then once that is done and our diagnostics are moved out of this space, then we have the opportunity to remove that building and build a new building with a staff canteen on the main level and casualty above. With that, we would be near the road level at this point, so that we'd be able to have street access to casualty from a new entrance. And then casualty and imaging would be on the same floor, and there would be, with vertical circulation, access to surgery. With all of our diagnostics moved out and our inpatients moved out of this building, we'd be able to remove it and develop this area as a quad and regain some of the green space that's been lost to low volume development over the decades. And we've also identified some future growth here, as well as being able to build our buildings to accommodate future vertical growth. And the idea is we would need to leave an empty floor on a building so that when we want to add to it, we add to it before we fill up that empty floor, so we have that buffer zone between occupied space and construction. Looking at this more from a three-dimensional perspective, we have the phasing shown here with the support building, MCH and maternity, the infill with the peds and surgery expansion, as well as the new OPD block downsheet, the wards expansion and the surgery building, existing surgery building remodel, the move of administration, the first part of our diagnostics building, and the canteen and casualty. They have access to and how they get there. Part of the quad is in addition to providing nice green space, opens up the visual paths so that wayfinding is easier and people can get to where they need to go. Outpatients coming off of the circle, diagnostics here. We have entrance for casualty, our MCH entrance. We have our interior connections between pre-post and surgery and wards, pre-post and wards, casualty to imaging, and then generally diagnostics to OPD. Fortunately, options 2 and 3 will go a little faster because you've heard about all the pieces, and now it's just how do we arrange them. So with this option, again, starting with support and the hub. Now, one thing I did forget to mention on the hub is we want to give Bodas a place to be that's not just lining the road and making our congestion worse. And while it may not be directly near our diagnostics right away, we would get there in the future. Our wards would be expanded. We would move our administration and start developing our MCH entrance, because with the clinics out of the way, MCH could have a temporary home in the old clinics while this is developed for MCH and OB. And then as this is developed for peds in the future, then we have our growth path. They're shown here. In the North Pavilion, once OB is moved, and we can take this building out and develop a new surgery expansion. We also include our diagnostics, lab imaging, and our pharmacy, and then our wards expansion as well above. And then we propose again the new A&E entrance, and then in this building, on this level where we are right now, we're proposing that casualty could be here as well as a possible addition. And then with that, casualty, all our diagnostics, and our clinic main entrance are all on the same level with their own entrance up here. And that consolidates all of our outpatients pretty much right here. It also gives us a path to our inpatient wards as needed. And then stepping. We did still start with support over here, but instead of the hub, we're suggesting that, or exploring the idea of our clinics or OPD moving across the road to where the housing is right now, where water treatment was, the original water treatment, that would become the OPD entrance. That gives us an opportunity for parking under the clinics building. And then again, a new casualty entrance, a new diagnostics, and canteen and casualty here. And then a bridge. New bridge that connects our OPD building with our diagnostics, so that we still have that connection. And then a path to surgery as well. Your administrative center. And then with wards being in this building, then we have an opportunity potentially for a conference center. And get some more meeting and conference rooms, get large gathering areas like the meeting room that we use currently for church services, and expand our ability to get together and get together near where we work. And there might also be in the future a possibility of accommodating that function or some of that function across the road and bridging that again like we would bridge across here. And this could be built even if it's used for conference in the first phases, It can be designed in such a way that it is easily adapted to medical uses in the future. So as we grow services and need more space, we have that ability to expand. We would also have the ability to expand. Nope, I didn't do it. Committed to this campus, then we need to understand that some of our projects that are close to our hearts might not be the first things that are done. But if we have the common vision to work together, then we will get there, and the campus as a whole will be better for it. So,
where do we go from here? It's kind of what it comes down to. To repeat probably a lot of things that we've already talked about. I think the major theme here is we need to keep God in our prayers as we think about this ministry, and be sure that we understand that it provides his vision is going to be our vision, and we're asking for, I think, the resources that we need to have in order to provide this future. So I want you to know that, at least from our experience, that acquiring land is going to be really should be top of mind here. That's going to be a very difficult assignment, and I've never seen a hospital that did that regretted it. And they might have even ended up with more land than they needed, but it was always easier to get rid of it than it was to buy it or purchase it or find it as a gift. So I think that needs to be, should be one of your priorities. Because those are really the fundamental blocks of what this master plan is. It's just the physical aspects of your vision. We also need to have a common building vision, which is the master plan maybe. And we know that that's going to change over time. It's never going to stay the same. I've worked on hundreds of master plans, and most of them get tuned up every few years, 3 years, maybe 5 years sometimes. And there's always changes. So that's a product of how does our environment change and what are the markets. So through this, we will see that it greatly, this process that we develop, the fact that we have a strategic plan, the fact that we went and took the time to create a master plan, that we took time to educate everybody on it, that we have educated people, and we're already trying to work on things. When we go to, well, Tinwick is a large hospital, and by Kenyan standards, it's one of the best. And so I think that we need to be sure that this vision that, I'm trying to think how to say this, I'm sorry. That this vision that we've created, we're going to go to a different level with it. And that affects our funding and everything that we try to do in order to make these things happen. So the fact that we took this time to create this master plan and all the other things that we've done is going to be important to those people that could be potential funders to us in the future. So without that, they don't really have the confidence in what we're doing that they should have and that they expect to see from us. And so that gives some extra gravity to why this is such an important process and that we need to do it in a certain way. We need to have a process.
From not only the U.S., but from South Africa as well as Kenya. And we are so grateful for them to be here. These are the best of the best. These are what we call the people that have a heart for missions as well as a heart for Tenwick and what we're doing here. And we are incredibly grateful for them. This morning, Shem and I spent roughly maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I don't know. Actually, the last report that came out, how many pages? 176?
It sounds right.
About 176 pages. And so there was just a draft report, and then there's going to be eventually a final report. And so there's a lot of details in that, and we're going to share that with everybody when we get it. And then we also want to comment, if it hasn't been commented already, that this is an ongoing conversation. This is an ongoing dialogue. This is like really the first good picture that we have. But then as we continue, we're going to be growing it and making it even better as time goes on. So to speak about CTC operations in that building, it actually, every floor will be used for the Cardiothoracic Center. It's just not in the first year.
Need at the moment, and then not only could you someday expand into that, but first you might build above that floor, so you have a buffer floor between, and then the buildings would have to be designed in such a way that they could take the additional load of 2 or 3 more floors. I'm here multiple times now. This particular master planning effort began more than a year ago, and so we appreciate every function, every department, every clinic, the individuals who spoke to us, everybody from maintenance to chief of medical operations, taking the time. We realize how busy you are, and you rightly have your priorities on patients. So thank you for making the time to sit with us, to let us interview, to let us tour, to answer our annoying questionnaires and everything we asked you so we could collect accurate information. And then I want to thank our own team. What I alluded to, David speaking about, was these volunteers. So what you may not realize is the majority of our team, they're volunteers. They not only gave up time from their real jobs to come do this, but they made their own way here. So they have a similar kind of commitment to Tenwick that you exhibit in your work every day. So we are honored to be part of your Tenwick team in that way. Thank you very much.